Hey, what is going on? What is going on? This is Mike Clark with the Keys and Knowledge team, powered by the Williams Advanced Realty team. And you guys see, we're going to go live right now. Starting right now, I'm going to walk outside, let you guys know where I'm at, see the surrounding of this beautiful, beautiful area. I love the downtown library. So I want you guys to be able to see that for a little bit. And then we're going to come in, get started, and go over if we're going to go over the home buying process from start to finish. A little twist on it because I know other realtors might do it differently, but I want to kind of give you what you're looking for when it comes to buying. What keeps us excited? What do we want to do immediately? You know, how are we looking at homes, for sale by owners, all these different things, and break down the terminology as well. So I'm excited about the opportunity. Again, I want to thank the director of the downtown library, Nancy, for allowing me to use this beautiful, beautiful room. This is the Sullivan room. I love it every time I get to utilize this space. And yeah, man, let's just get started. Let's go through it, and let's just. We gotta be quiet because we're going through the library right now. So I want you guys to check out the setup. So yeah, man, you see what it is. We outside right now. The beautiful library downtown. Oh man, hey, that facade is crazy. But you guys see it. If you guys come out, you'll be able to see my open house signs. It'll direct you right into the room. Something you guys want to take a look at. Again, my name is Mike Clark. I'm a realtor out here in El Paso, Texas. I enjoy doing what I do. It's like I tell my football team, I'm a youth football coach. I don't care if no one shows up, one person shows up, or 100 people show up. I'm gonna give you the exact same energy, nonetheless. I'm excited for the opportunity again to talk real estate. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any questions throughout this seminar, please drop it in the comment section. If you guys are gonna watch this after I go live, please take the time to just write down a question, anything that's on your mind, any questions you may have. I'm gonna give you the real, even if it doesn't benefit me, man. That's one thing. I don't need to sell or um, represent you on anything specifically, you know, unless you truly want to. I mean, I really take this as an opportunity, one, to teach, and then also to try to earn your business. You can see that I am knowledgeable. I understand what's going on in the market out here in El Paso, Texas. And as well as I pride myself in having a white glove service as much as I can, because again, there is a level of risk in anything you do, and real estate is no different. All right, but my job is to give you as much information as possible to help you make those decisions as quickly as possible, right? So you guys see it. This is where we're at. I'm going to show you guys and walk you guys into the room so we can get started. I want y'all to see downtown how beautiful it is down here. That's that West Star Bank right there, man. Just got a bank account over there too. Just got a bank account over there. It's one of the local banks out here, biggest banks, institutions out here in El Paso, Texas. But as you guys can see, man, um, vibrant, bright, love it out here. Things are changing and evolving downtown. And you know, if you're not from El Paso, Texas, you may want to do some research on it. Come take a look at it. This is something that I think a lot of places people need to consider besides Austin, Dallas, different places. So as you guys can see, coming in, just coming straight back. As you guys can see, we're here. So we're set up. You come in, just sign in real quick, all that good stuff. Get you some snacks, chill, relax, and let's get ready. You guys can see the projector's gonna play what's on the right side of the screen. You guys are gonna see. I may close this part out but you'll be able to see what's going on. All right. Let's see. I want to be able to prop this up so you guys can see me. I'm going to get started once I get this camera propped up for you guys. Let's see what this looks like. Let me, let's see. Said it was easy. All right, so we're gonna get started. All right, so again, as you guys can see, let me go ahead and put this. Let me see, maybe this will be better. Let's do this. Let's see if this will work. No, it's not gonna work. Move. Boom. We'll do it like this. So as you guys can see, man, it's the Keys and Knowledge team. My slogan is because no one taught us this until now. What I mean by that, when we were kids, at least me specifically, I could talk about me specifically. There was a lot of information, a lot of things that I did not know about, was not exposed to. So as I've gotten older, I go back on that. I try to go back on that as much as I can, and I understand that the people around you, the surrounding area, that's no fault of their own either if they don't understand what's going on around them. Being exposed to real estate, being exposed to different industries, different occupations, different ways of thinking is crucial to being an overall real well-rounded person. One of the things that really opened my eyes when it came to this is simply understanding that the military did so much for me. At the same time, I cry about it and say, man, it was one of those experiences that I wouldn't take back, but then I would change some things. I'll be honest. But I learned so much going into it, becoming a person, becoming a man, developing overall as an individual. And I want to tell you that that's what's helped me come up with this slogan. No one taught me this until now because I found myself talking to different individuals around the world, around the country, who had different viewpoints on things that I've always had a closed mind to. So especially when it comes to real estate, we always make the excuse, well, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. We see musicians, when they're signing contracts, not understanding things and just not taking the time to understand the bigger picture, man. Understanding to educate yourself and learn the information, seek that information, right? Uh, So yeah, that's my team, the Keys of Knowledge team, and that's really one of the biggest components to this at the end of the day. And just teaching and motivating and mentoring moving forward. So this seminar right here is a first time home buyer masterclass. It's gonna be a little different compared to what other realtors do. I know they start from start to finish when it comes to the lending, pre-approval, they harp that. But we're gonna kind of go out of order just a little bit, just so we can hit those topics that I know most people want to hear immediately. From the standpoint of a realtor, I'm going to give you that information. Of course, most realtors, they want you pre-approved prior to even getting started with the home buying process. We're going to talk a little bit about that, of course. But what I want to hit on is the main key components when it comes to purchasing a home, different opportunities and options you can look at. If you're looking to purchase a first home and you're saying, hey, well, look, this market is a little too expensive, there may be other opportunities for you. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more. So why does this seminar exist? Why does this exist? Buying your first home shouldn't feel overwhelming. I want you guys to understand that it shouldn't feel overwhelming. I know it does because we think it takes. Well, let me go back to how I seen it when I first got there. I really didn't understand how to purchase a vehicle, let alone a house. And when I did learn about purchasing a vehicle, of course, when you don't know what you don't know when it comes to purchasing an actual house. Understand that it's not this big daunting task. We have to break those pieces down into small little components overall to this entire process, through this entire process. And who is best at helping with that is a realtor. Now, I'll be honest, at the end of the day, you don't need a realtor to purchase a home. I mean, you can go out there and do it yourself, but I'm going to discuss some things that you may want to keep in mind if you decide you are going to do it without a realtor. And then I'm also going to give you information on when you have a realtor, what kind of advantage does that put you apart with someone else who doesn't have a realtor? So we're going to discuss FSBOs. That's for sale by owners who do not have listing agents representing them. So we're going to talk about that as a couple of strategies I believe will work for you if that's what you're deciding on. But I want to go through everything, of course, give you definition terminologies. I don't want to assume that you understand everything. So please stay with me all the way to the end. All right. Another thing, buying a home, again, like I said, buying a home doesn't have to be overwhelming. Also, I want you to understand today, you'll learn the process from start to finish. We just talked about that, right? Start to finish on that process, what that timeline looks like. And then lastly, whether you're buying your first home, land, a FSBO, foreclosure, we're going to talk more and more about that as well to give you more ammo for yourself when you're out here in the buying market. Bear with me, I'm over here on a dual screen right now trying to get over here, see what's going on. There we go. There we go. All right. So let's go right here. Meet your forever realtor. I am a forever realtor, and I have to explain this a little bit more and what this actually means. So, in the Keys of Knowledge team, um, me specifically, I really want to be there throughout your journey from the very, very beginning all the way to the end if you're trying to sell the home. Additionally, if you go past purchasing your second home, third home, I want to be there. If you have any questions for your friends, family, or they have questions for you, I want you to utilize me as a resource, someone that you can go to at any point in time to help you in this particular space. I think that helps out the most. When I look back on the realtors that I had a couple that, constantly did stay. They stayed overall with me. And I understood, hey, I could call this person up and ask them, hey, what do I need to know when I'm looking at doing a 1031 exchange? What do I need to know going into the multifamily space? What do I need to know? So that's what I want to be. I want to be that exact individual for you. So if you have a question, you're going down the street and you're saying, hey, there's a piece of land there. I don't know where to get started. How do I find out if this person is actually selling this on the market. Is this on the market? Is it off the market? What does that mean? I want to go ahead and go as I want to be able to help you with that starting point all the way to the end point. All right. Additionally, I want to talk a little bit about I am ABR. I do have my ABR designation. I also have an MRP certification as well as PSA. All these are just different components where I can have a more of a niche over your realtor that, your everyday realtor. When it comes to pricing strategies, that's me. I'm going to be able to price a home strategically if you're looking to sell. This is what this certification helps me with the knowledge and information, right? It tells me exactly, more or less how to go about this, gives me a framework, gives me a little bit more tools when it comes to talking to an appraiser, when I'm representing your property as, a listing agent for your home. MRP is just strictly military relocation professional. That's someone that truly understands timelines, PCSing, chain of command, all the nuances that you go through in the military. This is just telling you I'm certified in that. Not to mention, I am a veteran, so I've lived that lifestyle. I have PCS myself. I know the stresses. I know everything you're going through in that moment. And one of the things, again, I think that's where the white glove component of the Keys of Knowledge team came from, is simply understanding that I want you to be able to think about the move, not necessarily have to think about all the other pieces that go with it. I want you to be able to keep your mind on what you have to keep your mind on, because if you're deploying or you're PCSing down here and then you may have a deployment downrange somewhere, I don't want you to be worried that we can't do our job and get you where you need to get to, or hey, how am I going to meet these timelines on turning in earnest money, turning in option money, all these different things. I want to make sure that you have the best person behind the scenes that is helping you and making sure that you are, in good hands at the end of the day. That's essentially what I want to make sure, right? And then lastly, of course, the accredited buyer representative. This right here is the designation saying I'm certified in just helping buyers. I do help sellers, but I do really, really love helping buyers purchase their first home, purchasing their second home, third home, investment property, purchasing land. I really enjoy it because I always have an education component that goes with it. And I love that piece where I can educate you on something that you want to do and you're learning more about it. And man, that's what really, truly motivates me in doing what I do. That's why I love doing this. And I don't really call it a job, man. Like I said, this is something that I truly appreciate from start to finish. All right, we're gonna go right into the next slide. Sorry for all the noise, y'all. I mean, usually it's a little quieter here, but we got a lot going on today. All right. Okay, let's fix this audio really quick for y'all. Come on, baby. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna fix the audio really fast. Right. So as you guys can see, so finding the right property, let's jump right into it. Finding the right property. Understand that not every opportunity is on Zillow. All right, it's not on Zillow. There's some other things that you can think about. Let me turn this down. Right. So there's some other things you can think about. So we're going to talk about MLS listings, multi-list listing services, and then we're going to talk about what's the difference between a new sale or new build versus a resale. Right? New build is essentially exactly what it sounds like. Brand new construction home, something that just got built recently, new subdivision, new area. When you're looking at this, there's a ton of opportunities with it, but of course, be careful with this because you want to be knowledgeable going into it. Understand that one of the things, I think we're going to talk more about it in the next slide, is when you're going out to look at new builds, understand they do have builder reps, but again, that's in the name as well. They're a builder representative that understands the ins and outs, the make, how everything's put together. Of course, they're very, very knowledgeable, of course, but they do work for the builder. Now, you want your own representation when it comes to this piece, because I promise you, we can go back to COVID days where, things were happening within the contract that wasn't being followed through, or simply you had issues where a home was getting appraised more than what the builder expected, and somehow they backed out the deal. I have my own mindset of what happened on that. Maybe it was timelines not being met. Maybe it was some stuff that was in the contract that people just did not truly understand. As realtors, we're not lawyers or attorneys. We're not any of that, but what we are is knowledgeable when it comes to the contract, where we can at least explain it to you and give you your options. Again, when it comes to new builds, you need to understand that there are timelines. These contracts that the builders have are from the builder. So my responsibility is to ensure that I'm reading through it, making sure that we're following all timelines, ensuring that we still have the same steps when it comes to inspection process, what the inspection process looks like, what does blue tape walkthrough looks like. If you don't know what a blue tape is, that's simply any defects that may be on the home, as small as it may be, it doesn't matter. We're going to make sure we're highlighting that and being confident and making sure that things are being done right. I would also say additionally, this is one of the most nerve-wracking pieces where people may feel a certain way because the builder foreman may be upset because you're knocking out every defect. So if there's a scuff mark on the wall, if there's a divot in the ceiling, but you're calling out every blemish of their work. However, nonetheless, as a realtor, I want to make sure you're happy. I want to ensure you're happy, and the builders want to ensure that you're happy. So, that's one thing I'd like to educate my clients on, is just understanding the process and not being scared of going through the process and knowing that they're being represented at the end of the day. Additionally, now when it comes to resale, that's a little different, right? It's still kind of the same concept, of course, but now you're just dealing with the homeowners. This could be a little more trickier because when you're talking about negotiating, you got to remember people live in these homes. They live in these homes. They're babies. They could have been in this home for 10, 20 years, and now they put it up for resale, or they're putting up on the market to sell. And you want to make sure that you're attacking it and approaching this in a way where you're not offending the homeowner, of course, and you're making sure that you're finding a quality home to buy because you want to live in it for 10, 20, 30 years, of course, right? So we just want to make sure everything is put together the right way. Again, we talked about new construction, but the next one I want you guys to see that's an opportunity, and this is on Zillow. I would say this is on Zillow as well, but the for sale by owners, a lot of people kind of steer clear of this because they don't know what that means, how to attack it, how to approach it. And all it means simply, hello, how you doing? All it means simply is you have the homeowner actually representing themselves in the sale of the home. That's it. They're representing themselves. Now, there's a couple of issues with this, and this is just my opinion. I get most homeowners are definitely trying to save money. They don't want to pay the realtor to represent them. I don't think they see the value in a realtor. And again, when you start out, when you're around realtors, you really don't understand what they do. You believe they just open doors or they're just sitting in the house and just hoping it sells. That is not me. That is not most realtors that I know personally. I know they're putting a ton of work in from the marketing point perspective of it, staging homes, open houses, networking with other realtors to try to find other individuals that might be interested in your home outside of this current market. So out of El Paso, maybe someone's in California getting ready to move, and we need to be able to connect that particular buyer with the seller. There's so many different components when it comes to this. Now, there are some advantages we're going to talk about as well, because if you are represented and now I'm going against just that seller, we need to understand there's a couple things that we need to make sure we have in place, because it goes to negotiations. Because again, if you don't have a realtor, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you can negotiate. You don't understand the contracts, or maybe slightly understand the contract. I mean, there could be so many different things when it comes to these particular properties. Next thing we're going to talk about, of course, foreclosures. Foreclosures is very exciting for most people. They love the idea of trying to purchase a foreclosure, but understand foreclosures come with a tremendous amount of risk, a tremendous amount of risk. And that's one thing I definitely want to talk about and discuss. At the end of the day, everything is about options. So if buying a new construction home isn't viable for you, then let's look at a resale. But resale is not there, then let's look at for sale by owner. For sale by owner is not working for you, and you're cash heavy. Hey, let's look at a foreclosure. I mean, there are a tremendous amount of opportunities that you can do instead of just the old traditional way. And that's one thing that I believe sets me apart compared to other realtors, because I've been exposed to this. I've done this personally myself, and I have the partners as well to help at least give you as much information as possible. So when you're talking about real estate attorneys, title companies, people you need to talk to get quick decisions, I mean, man, I would love to help you with that. So, all right. So why does representation matter? Why does representation matter? We need to understand this a little bit more as well. representation truly does matter, in my opinion. Again, I go back to myself. I tell everybody in every seminar I do that I truly believed every realtor. Well, before I even got active into real estate myself, what I ultimately believe is what I saw on TV and what I assumed on TV. But it's still the same standard that I hold myself to and I expect when my clients go through the door. But it's like when you go to the movies and you see people walking through, that realtor understands it has as much information on that property as possible. They have the MLS details on the home. They know the purchase price. They know how many days on market it's been. They know how many consecutive days on market it's been. They've asked the sellers about the age of the roof, the foundation. They have a general knowledge as well of construction work as well, so they can help me out when I'm looking at the home. Now, that's not always expected, right? Again, from a realtor's perspective, there's a lot of liability, but there's also a lot of rewarding pieces with it as well, because again, that's helping you. It's more eyes on the home within that 5, 10, 15 minutes you initially see it. You're getting, 4 sets of eyes, on this particular property, between yourself, myself, we're scanning, we're looking, we're vetting it, and we're not just falling in love with it immediately. We're looking at key things first before we fall in love with the home. And what do I mean by those key things? I'm really big on understanding the age of the roof, understanding the age of the furnace, understanding the age and condition of the HVAC system, evaporative cooling, foundation again, all those things I really need to know immediately to give you that information, give you that knowledge, because again, it goes back to the very beginning. You can move into a home and I promise within 90 days, something's going to break. And you don't want it to be that water heater. You don't want it to be that furnace or that AC unit, because if you don't have an extra $5,000 saved up, that could hit you hard and quick on top of your mortgage having to be paid. So we're just trying to make sure that everything is fine, right? Now, again, why does representation matter? We're going to talk about quickly, what does it look like without representation? You're negotiating a loan. Again, what are you negotiating? As a consumer, you may just only be thinking about the purchase price. But there's so many other pieces when it comes to the real estate, when it comes to purchasing a home, that you may not know that you need to negotiate. There's some specific costs that you want to make sure that, hey, is this person going to cover? Am I going to cover? Can we meet in the middle on this? Do I even know about it? So that's another piece. Contracts can be confusing. That's another piece of understanding the contract. If you're going this thing alone and you have no knowledge of the contract, you're putting yourself at risk that you're going to be missing something. Inspection issues may be overlooked as well. That's another piece as well. Without representation, you're not really thinking about inspections, timelines when it comes to that, what to ask the inspector, what to look at when you're speaking to the inspector, having that inspector look specifically in a certain area. Again, that makes all the difference. Again, deadlines can be missed. Within that real estate contract, there are deadlines and you have to meet them. There's a hard deadlines when it comes to earnest money, option money being turned in. Once something's executed and signed between both parties, what does that look like? When are we going to close? What does that timeline looks like? How are we working with the lender? Like, there's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't see as well. Additionally, you have no experienced advocate for you. No one advocating for you, making sure that you're getting the best opportunity from these deals. I always go into every real estate transaction with good faith between the realtor, between the homeowner. If it's just a FSBO, I'm going to go in good faith as well. I'm not looking to take advantage of anyone. I'm looking to make sure we're going to get the best opportunity we can get out of the situation, right? And again, I'm giving you options. You're letting me know, hey, Mike, this is how we're going to move forward. And that's exactly what we're going to do. My broker, Ben Williams, one of the things he says, man, there's no such thing as fair when it comes to real estate. And that's true. I do understand that. But if we all go in there with good faith, I believe everybody will come out where they want to come out at, right? And if they don't, That could be a lack of representation. That could be a lack of whatever. But on our side, if you're with me, we're going to make sure that we're maximizing every opportunity at the end of the day. All right. Now, I put without representation on the other side, but that's with representation, right? With representation, you're going to have a negotiating strategy from the very, very beginning. So the moment we walk through a home and you love it, I'm already getting information of what can we negotiate. Okay, does appliances come here? Does this come here? One second. Let me close this door. Let me close the door. No, you can. Sorry about that, y'all. Getting a little loud in the hallway, so I just want to finish this out so y'all can hear me. All right, so yeah, so negotiation strategy, that's a big piece. Understand that your realtor has to have some strategies that work for you. What's getting better for you when it comes to pricing strategy? One thing that a lot of clients want to do, and I've done myself as well, is like, I want to get this for the cheapest amount. Can we do a lowball offer? I immediately say, you know what? I understand where you're coming from, but can you explain more? And I'm just trying to understand their mindset and where they're trying to get to. I don't think it's necessarily want a lowball. They just want to make sure they're getting the best deal. And there's a bunch of different ways to get the best deal, and it's not considered a lowball, right? I guess one example I can give you of that is, hey, we're going into the home, we're looking at it, we see the price is at $299.9, and as we're walking through it, we can tell there's some major deficiencies wrong with the home. We could tell. Now, we may already have some contractors in our pocket. We already have some people that we know that we can work with. Hey, now we're just negotiating on repairs. Can we get a credit? Can we get a repair done? What does that look like? On top of other ways we can do the negotiation strategies where we're truly doing a CRM, and that's why you have to have a great buyer agent who understands CMAs. I understand CMAs. Again, I'm PSA certified. I mean, that right there tells you that I take learning about my CMAs aggressively. Like I need to know as much information as I can, and understanding that when you see a purchase price, whether it's $299.9, it's $300,000, $400,000, that seller has to have some sort of supporting documentation, which there's another CMA, there's their CMA, they're coming up, their comparative market analysis. They have to have supporting sales to support that price, unless it's a very unique property and they're selling it just off the merit of that home. But for majority of homes, you need to stand alone with the sales in the area. And if you're not, that's a problem. What I'm noticing with listing agents specifically is that they may not be within half a mile to a mile from the home when they're looking at recent sales, or looking at the last 3 months. They're looking a year out, 2 years out, 2 miles down the road, 3 miles down the road. We know specifically in El Paso, things change almost block to block, subdivision to subdivision. So again, that's why you have to have a strong realtor on your side when it comes to this. So if you're a new buyer coming in, I think that's one of the pieces that you want to understand as well, is understanding that piece. So going into contract expertise, we want to make sure that on the contract side, we understand those timelines. I can't say it enough. Without representation, you definitely aren't understanding those timelines that you got to hit. With representation, I'm making sure that you're understanding that. My transaction coordinator, who's also following along, is making sure that they're understanding those timelines and we're hitting them. Now, this can happen. And again, you're a brand new buyer, so I want to make sure I'm being very clear and specific on this, is simply how timelines can also help you is protecting your earnest money. So there's also deadlines on the seller side, and the sellers don't complete certain timelines, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem as well, where now They didn't turn something in when they were supposed to. Your earnest money, you're gonna be able to pull out and get your earnest money back. There's a bunch of different ways to cut and divide it. Um, However, again, I go in with good faith, so hopefully we working together and we're making sure nobody's missing anything. But again, I'm all about options. Again, your risk management, that's another big piece. I think a great example of risk management is understanding that, yes, you may, as a new buyer, you're going to go into a home, you're going to love the home, but there may be some huge deficiencies with the home. Again, those big components that come with walking into a home, looking at it, that roof, what does the water heater look like? What does the furnace look like? What does the foundation look like? And if it's a crack, if it's this, if it's something that is within those four big components, I'm going to let you know immediately. We need to get someone specialized in this just to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. If there's any sign of mold, you want to make sure that we're following protocol and getting the right people in there to inspect it to make sure, is it mold? Is it not mold? Is it isolated in a certain area? This is the risk management, because now you want to make a decision as a consumer to understand, okay, I do want to move forward, but let's evaluate this a little bit more to move forward. Communication is another big piece. Communication is another big piece. You want someone that's going to pick up the phone. You need someone that's going to pick up the phone or call you back within a timely manner. I pride myself on picking up the phone immediately if I can, or call you back within an hour, 2 hours, but I'm going to make sure I'm being receptive to that. Any timeline that need to be hit, communicating that, making sure it's effective, not only verbally over the phone, but in writing, texting. One thing I do love to do is make sure I'm documenting the entire transaction from start to finish to make sure that everything is clear on not only my side, but on the buyer side to the seller side. Professional network. This goes back, and you guys are going to see it, the professional network that I have, my team on the Keys and Knowledge team, from the title to the lenders to inspectors to cleaners to movers. Having a professional network of people that if you have a question or a need, I can send you somebody expeditiously. Expeditious, because that's very, very important, man. You want someone to be able to go out and look at something quickly. A great example of that, man. Recently, just under contract not too long ago. This was a while ago though, but we got under contract on a home. This particular home, we had an inspector go out. The inspector looked at the home. There were some major deficiencies, and normally right after that, you're supposed to do a repair amendment. Something that you could send over, or just an amendment in general to send over to the seller, letting them know what you're wanting fixed, repaired, credited, whatever, right? But I could see in my buyer's eyes that they were still like, I don't know, I even want this repaired. I don't know how excessive this is. Is this a major issue? What's going to happen? And so what I suggested was, and this was a roof issue, hey, let's get a roofer out there. So I gave them a couple of different options. They selected them, we vetted them, and we got a roofer out there before anything, and confirmed that it needed a brand new roof. So with that being said, it allows you to make decisions quickly, because now we're not sitting here playing phone tag or not understanding who's available. A lot of the professionals that I have them personally in my phone, and they're ready to go, and they know how I work, so they're moving quickly as well. So again, reputation is everything out here, I believe. Me personally, I take my reputation very seriously, and I just can't work with anybody. So I want to make sure my clients are being taken care of in a way that I know I will take care of. And then lastly, of course, with representation, you want someone that's going to guide you from start to finish, start to finish, start to finish. I'm going to say that again. You need someone that's going to guide you start to finish. And that's ultimately what I want to do, make sure, because there is a point in time in the transaction where everything just goes quiet. And that's literally right after the appraisal. And now we're getting ready for closing. But in between that time, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? What's happening? I want to keep you updated weekly, just so you know the status of everything. Everything is moving. If everything is fine, you'll get a text message. Hey, everything is fine. Everything's moving. We're not having an issue. I always tell my clients too, because if you're a new buyer, this is one of the most annoying parts of the transaction, I'm not going to lie, is that last week before closing. That last week before closing can get truly, truly hectic, because this is really where the more of everybody's working on your file to get it ready for closing. So we want to make sure that all of our finances are together. We want to make sure that whatever the title needs, we're getting them that information as soon and as quickly as possible at the end of the day. All right. So. All right, so the home buying process. We just talked, like I said, we talked a little bit about different options, different things you can look at, not just talking strictly about traditional houses on the market. We talked about a lot of different things, right? But now this is the bread and butter of the process. Again, it's the overwhelming piece that most people see and they're like, oh my God, it's just too much. You need a realtor who's going to sit down, break it down to you in a way that makes sense. I mean, I've been told plenty of times from my clients that, man, it even felt like I was even buying a house. It was just so easy. And that's the way I want to make it. You know, I want to give you all your information. You can make your decision and move forward. Again, I take everything from the military because that's the mindset I come from, right? But that's the way it's structured. You know, you have your soldiers, you have that NCO, and you have that commander, and that commander can't make decisions unless he's getting all the information possible presented to him. And that's the way I treat you, like the commander, like the chief, the boss, the CEO. I want to make sure, you know, at the end of the day, you're making decisions. I'm not making them for you, but I'm giving you as much information as possible. Now, going into the home buying process, what are the steps? And what you see is here is the steps. Pre-approved with the lender. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to get pre-approved with the lender prior to looking at a home, because you need to know what you can afford. And I think that's the easiest way to say it. You don't want to go look at a $500,000 home if you can't afford the $500,000 home. Now, I get it. Most people just want to go see it because they're aspiring to see it. Hey, listen, I get it. I do the same thing. I take the opportunity to go to open houses, and I will go look at whatever house I want to go see. So if there's $1 million house on the market and there's an open house, I'm going. I tell you what, one time I did this out in Atlanta. I didn't even have a realtor. But you know, you do get people looking at you crazy, like, man, you can't even afford this house, right? And they're not supposed to do that either, but they do. But on this particular day, I went inside and I had someone with me. I was like, all right, well, let me go in here and let them know I mean business. I ended up telling them I was a rapper and some more stuff. And they were like, man, he was trying to sell me this house. Like, truly, told him I was a big musician, just signed a record deal. This was like a $2 million listing. And man, he did his thing. I mean, I couldn't afford it, but he did his thing. But you know, sometimes you just go vet it, go look at it. You know, at some point in time, when you're ready to buy that $1 million home, absolutely. Open houses, that's the time where you can go in, and even if you're not pre-approved, of course, there'll be a realtor like me. I'm going to come in, I'm going to introduce myself, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the house, I'm going to let you walk around. You know, if you're at the process of, okay, I'm looking around, I love this home, but I don't know what to do, that's where I come in at. You know, I'm going to give you more information. I'm not trying to upsell you. I don't want to be like that person when you go into the mall or go into a particular store, they're hounding you, asking for this, and like, I like to give you your room, your space, and let you think. If you're with your partner, of course, let y'all talk everything out. But that's the opportunity that, you know, I like to do specifically. So if you're not ready to go through the pre-lending, pre-approval process, then just start going to open houses. Start getting confident, looking at other houses, talking to realtors, vetting them out, seeing, okay, when do I think I'm going to be ready? What do I need to know? And then boom, you're good. But work with me specifically. I do have some lenders that I work with specifically that I know can get you go through the pre-approval process with you, and they have a mindset of being an educator. You know, and if they can't pre-approve you, I like that they follow up with you, not just leave you hanging. That's the part that I think is very, very important, because that's the hesitation most people will have, is like, man, what if I don't get approved? What then? I got to figure it out? No. These lenders that I'm working with, they're going to educate you. They're going to let you know. They have a credit repair system built into what they already do that's going to get you to that point, right? I just had a client. We've been working with him for 6 months from the time I met him. And, I'm working with them, showing them houses. We're doing everything. And they just knew they were going to get pre-approved. But I knew they were already working. They got denied, but we were still working at it, and finally I get that call that 4th month, we're pre-approved, we're qualified, we did what we needed to do, and we got it, and they were so happy. We were able to put 2 offers on some properties. Wasn't able to get anything accepted just yet because they, that's just the way things go, but it was just so nice to get them to that point because they end up telling me, one-on-one is like, hey, we've been trying to talk to realtors and they just won't talk to us. They don't want to hear anything from us unless we're pre-approved. And I said, well, look, a lot of realtors have a mindset that you need to be pre-approved to work with them so they can get going. They don't want to put in the work. I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to research, follow up, do what I need to do, and educate you along the way to get you to that point. All right. Now, once you get pre-approved, now we got to offer it. We were pre-approved, we're shopping, we find our home, and we put an offer in, it gets accepted. Boom, what's next? Now we're talking about earnest money and option fee. What is earnest money? Earnest money is simply good faith money saying that you're willing to move forward with the transaction. Think about it like this. Somebody's willing to buy your car. They're like, you never met them, you don't know anything about them, but you got to be able to trust them. You got to be able to trust that they're doing something in good faith, right? This earnest money kind of helps with that. Typically, it's around 1%, but again, everything is negotiable. So, I've done earnest money personally myself, 500, 250, $1,000. That's what I've done, and that's me personally. And that still works. But if you do want someone to take you serious when it comes to certain properties, 1% is general. That's somewhere you want to be. You want to be close to that as possible. Option fee. Option fee, you want the option to back out of a property, back out of a deal. That's all that means. As a new buyer, we get cold feet quickly. We may not like something. We may wake up and say, you know what? This one is not for me. You know what? My spouse doesn't like this. You know what? It's the wrong shade of white in the living room. I don't like it. You don't have to give me a reason. That option fee allows you to back out. And you can do anything from 7 days, 5 days, 10 days. Typically, this is about $100, $200, somewhere in there. You could do more if you want, but at that point, I would ask what's going on if you want to go further than 10 days. But 7 to 10 days in general is usually what it is. And again, you don't need a reason to back out the deal once you have this option fee. And your earnest money, that 1% of what you're putting down, is protected during that time. So if you back out, you're getting your earnest money back. Now, we pass that option fee, that option timeline. Now we have some work to do to make sure we're still protecting it along the way, right? But that earnest money is also benefit for the sellers because they're taking their home off the market, assuming you're going to purchase it as long as we're performing the contract the way we need to perform it, right? All right, now home inspection, that's going to be the next piece. So once we get the earnest money, the option fee in, we're within our executed timeline. We want to get our home inspected as soon as possible. I typically, as soon as we get both signatures and we're executed, that's what they call executed, I'm sending you information about home inspectors. Depending on what type of contract funding you're doing, you may not need a home inspection. You may not, it's not a requirement, right? But I would always tell any client, no matter what their risk level is to get a home inspection. Get a home inspection, termite inspection, get all of this so you truly know, because you haven't lived there. You don't know what's going on with that home. You gotta know the bones of the home before you purchase. So once we do the home inspection, now we're going to negotiations, depending on what that home inspection looks like. If there's many repairs we see, and let me back up. When you get the home inspection, we're gonna have our options. We're gonna vet the best inspector to come out there, right? Look at the home. They're gonna give you a report. This report could be anywhere from 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, 40, 50 pages. They are required. They have to do everything. They're going to annotate every little deficiency, kind of like the blue tape walkthrough on a new construction. They're going to do the exact same thing. I think that's the best way to explain it. This scares a lot of new buyers. It scares a lot of new buyers. But I want you to understand that regardless of the fact, what I look at is what are the safety issues with the home. You know, cosmetic stuff can be worked on, but safety, again, going back to the roof, going back to HVAC, going back to certain components of a house, I want to make sure that's working. And that's what I'm going to hit with you. But at the end of the day, it's still your decision. So if you're saying, hey, I just don't like that, you know, the bathroom sink was installed correctly, or there's too many cracked tiles throughout the house. If that's something that you don't want to deal with, absolutely. But again, this is why we want to have conversations up front so we can find that out. So as we're vetting properties, if we see anything that may cause you not to move forward the house, we just kind of want to move past it. So you are, you know, utilizing your time the best at the end of the day, right? So once we do the home inspection, we'll get to that point. Now we're going back to negotiations to see what needs to be repaired, what needs to be fixed. Do we want to take a credit, etc. Now we're going through the loan process and appraisal. We get past the inspection piece. Now we want to make sure this home is going to get appraised. All right. Appraisal, all that means is we're going to have someone certified, paid for by you through your bank. They're going to send someone out. They're going to come out, look at the home. They're going to do their own CMA, their own market analysis. And they're going to let you know, hey, this home is worth the $200,000 you're looking to pay for it and get financing for it. Or, hey, this home is worth $210,000, which is a great thing for you because you get what's called equity already built into the home. If it comes under, then that's a problem. We got to renegotiate and we got to figure out the home wasn't worth 200, it was worth 190. What's going to happen with that difference? That 10,000, are we going to negotiate and bring it down? Are we going to meet in the middle? Or, hey, does that owner still want the full $10,000 difference? And do we need to walk away? Those are questions we will talk about. Again, those are options that we would need to talk about. Next, we need to make sure that the title, and this is happening in the background as well. So title is also reviewing that particular home. You're getting what's called title insurance on your home. What is that insurance? Your title, making sure it's free and clear. There's no liens. There's no great nephew somewhere lying around that was assigned to this home at some point, or, you know, they're vetting and making sure that when you purchase this home, you're not going to have to worry about anyone knocking on your door and saying, hey, I own this home. Why are you in my home? There's going to be no disagreement that you own this particular home. And that's what the title company is giving you, that insurance. Lastly, we're going to do a final walkthrough. So this final walkthrough simply is right before closing, typically, you know, a day, 2 days before we actually close on the property. We're just making sure that it's still in the same condition as when we seen it the first time. And if we required anything to be inspected, well, if we demanded anything to be repaired, we're verifying that things were all repaired. Additionally, when things are repaired, they have to be repaired depending if it's required that it needs to be a licensed, licensed electrician, licensed this person, licensed that person. We're getting receipts and invoices and all that stuff for our records, right? We're keeping all that stuff for our records. But that final walkthrough is that opportunity for us to walk through, make sure everything's the way it needs to look. Sometimes people get lazy with this, you know, but again, I work with some great realtors. There was one of my good realtors, man. I love him. I love talking to him. He always gets me motivated. He had told me his final walkthrough, you know, something had happened and there was like a mini flood inside the home. I think a pipe had broke and water was everywhere. So, you know, being the realtor he was, he made sure that one, they stopped the bleeding, stopped the water wherever it was coming from. He immediately negotiated and made sure that this is going to get repaired. You know, he had to go through the insurance. I mean, he did everything immediately because he knew what to do. And again, you have some really great realtors out here in El Paso, and you got some that wouldn't even know where to start with that situation. But again, that's why we're all, majority of us, well, I wouldn't say majority. If you're an agent, you're a realtor, you're most likely under a brokerage. Your broker should have the knowledge. Again, my broker, extreme amount of knowledge in the game. So he's giving me as much information as possible anytime I fall into a situation that I don't truly understand. But again, for the most part, I've dealt with a lot of this stuff in my own real world. So I kind of know how to, move, but, having that piece as well, having a knowledgeable broker is also going to make sure that you understand that, hey, Mike's know what he's going to do. He knows how to get this thing done the right way. And then lastly, we got closing day. Closing day is the day we're signing our papers, we're doing everything, and that's where we want to be at. All right. So this is literally the steps. I mean, there's a lot of little things in between it, but I mean, as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just 10 things, right? 10 things. And your realtor's handling most of it. And he's making sure that you're where you need to be at, inspection wise, when the appraiser's there, boom, 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 keeping you updated throughout that transaction. And this is happening for 30 to 45 days. But that realtor is on top of it. And that's, again, one thing that I pride myself on is making sure you're knowledgeable on that and things are getting handled in a way that's protecting your earnest money throughout this entire process. For whatever reason, we get to that final walkthrough and it's not right and we need to back out. We need to make sure we follow everything else to that point. And if we got to back out, we got to back out. All right. I don't want you buying nothing you're not happy with at the end of the day. All right. Now, we're kind of getting to the end right now, but my professional network saves you time. We just talked about that. This is, what sets me apart from others is that I have individuals that I've worked with. I know, I've had conversations with, I've seen their work, that I can vet and that I know with confidence they could take care of you. Again, I don't just give you people that I work with personally. I'm going to give you a mixture of people, right? So say, for example, you need a lender. I'm going to send you 3 different options of all sorts of lenders that's available, because maybe my preferred lender that I work with Change Home Mortgage may not be for you. Maybe you want to work with someone different, but I'm going to give you 3 options. You can vet them all. If they don't work for you, always have the option to work with whoever you want. I pride myself in making sure that you have options. That is the name of this game, is making sure that you have options at the end of the day. I think one of the great examples I can give you on the lender piece is we were under contract with another particular client. As we were going through, I was asking them questions. Hey, have you locked in your rate? Have you talked to your lender? And I kept hearing no, 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 no. So I'm picking up the phone, talking to the lender, seeing what's going on, where the communication is breaking down. We couldn't rectify it. She thought we were still going to move forward. I said, hey, listen, you may want to still move forward with them. I don't know. But I think this may be a time you may want to check out some different options, because I know we want to move forward with this transaction. So I sent them some options. Boom. We moved forward with one of those options. And that person was able to move in a pace that my clients respected it and appreciated. And that's what you have to do as a realtor. You want to make sure you're doing what's best for your clients. And that's what I expect from everybody that I work with. Anyone that I give you, I expect them to give you top tier service at the end of the day. All right, so lastly, closing day and beyond. What does closing day look like? Okay, so we looked at the house. Well, first we got pre-approved. We did all of that. We saw those 10 steps we went through, right? We did all of that, and now we're at the closing table. What happens? All right, so closing day and beyond, we've already conducted our final walkthrough. We've already seen our closing docs. We're verifying the closing docs we should have got before the closing date, making sure all the numbers are right, APR, all these different things. Again, your realtor is going to break that down to you, and it should match what you see in person at the closing table on the last day, because that is a document that means everything. That's the one you want to verify for sure. All right. Next thing is funding. What is funding? Funding is simply once everything is signed, the bank wires have to happen behind the scenes. So the buyer bank needs to pay the sellers. The sellers owe any money for anything, that's getting paid. The title company getting paid. Everyone's getting paid at this point. Once everything is done, then now everything's going to be, keys will be handed out at that point. Things have to be funded first before keys are taken. I used to have a big problem with this. I didn't understand it because I thought once I signed documents, where's my keys? I'm ready to go. And it doesn't happen that quickly. Sometimes it can happen later that day, depending on when you close. If you close first thing in the morning, boom, keys will be ready for you probably by the afternoon if that wire gets pushed out in a timely manner. If not, You may have to wait till the next day to get keys. Again, I like to do white glove service, so I'm picking up my client's keys, I'm delivering it to them, and I'm making sure that, hey, everything is well. I don't need you running and gunning and burning yourself out, trying to keep up with this, especially if you just drove out there and you got other things to do. You don't need to be taking days off to go over here and go over there. Let me do that for you. Let me take that weight off your shoulder. And then lastly, I think recording is another big piece. The way you sign your name, the way everything's presented on docs, they're going to show you exactly how your deed is going to be recorded with your name on there. So if you're married, you and your spouse information. If you're single, your cell phone there. If your partner or you got someone else invested in it, you're going to see all of that, and that's the way it's going to be recorded with the county. So you always want to make sure that as well. Make sure that spelling is on point. So lastly is questions. Does anyone have any questions for me? All right, so again, I appreciate everyone coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Again, I try to do as many of these seminars as possible. This year, I didn't do a great enough job like I did last year, I believe. I mean, I did a lot more last year than I did this year. But the goal is to try to do one a quarter and try to do a webinar as well. But I like to do them in person because in person is just so much better, and do it throughout the city. But I do like coming to the downtown location because, again, it gives me an opportunity to come look at this beautiful library over and over and over, and then also give me an opportunity to see what community events are happening as well. I think one time I had a seminar down here, and it was a marathon going on downtown. Again, man, El Paso is one of those unique places that if you're not from here, you wouldn't even know where to get started. You know, when I first got here in El Paso, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Where is there to do? I stayed on base. I did this, I did that. And, you know, ultimately, that's what the commanders over there are trying to fix as well. So if you're in the military, they're fixing that, man. They're getting you out in the community. They want you to see the city. If you're moving from, you know, just for work reasons, or you just want to move to El Paso, understand El Paso is very traditional. It has a lot of great architecture out here, a lot of great history out here. You have to stay as involved as possible when it comes to this city so you know what's going on. And there's a lot of great changes that are happening. And I'll leave you with this. Again, I'm always going to hit those big topics that are going on right now in El Paso. And of course, one of them is the metadata center is being built out here in El Paso, Texas. How that happened, you know, and that's great in most people's eyes. They see it as an opportunity, right? And maybe it was initially, but with more and more research coming out about metadata centers and data centers in general, it could do more harm than it can do good. And one of the things that you want to base things off when you're talking to your city leaders is making sure your city leaders truly understand it, because it's like, man, that's not one of the best things out here in El Paso, but I want to hit that. So if you haven't done research on a metadata center, do your research on it. If you believe it's going to benefit the city, if you don't, formulate your own opinion on that. Of course, one of the other projects that are coming out here in El Paso, or is being proposed, is a deck plaza. Now, again, this is another project that you want to take and do some research on, but this is a private park over a highway. Boom. If you ever seen something like these are stalled out in Dallas, and I think Houston has one as well. Generates a lot of money. I don't know about the opportunity out here for El Paso to generate a lot of money on that, but they're saying we have the market for it. I don't know if that's true or not. But if we could do business the right way, then maybe. I don't have a lot of faith when it comes to that, to be honest. You know, I'm still trying to see what's happening at this point. What else is going on? Right now, electric bills are going up. So if you have solar, that may be another thing. If you're a new home buyer, this may be an opportunity to start looking at purchasing a home that has solar panels that are going to be paid off at closing. I actually have solar panels on my home, and that's only because it came with the home. I do not like solar panel companies at all. But I would say it may be worth looking at is, does this home have solar panels? And I mean, I haven't seen it happen yet with the market. Like, you know, one home versus another home with solar panels is more expensive, even if it's same, like apples to apples. I haven't seen an increase, but to be honest, it should, because right now, the rates are going up. The rates are going up, so that may be something. So if you're a new home buyer, I may consider letting you know. Well, I'm going to let you know about it. You should take the opportunity to look into it yourself as well to see if it's going to benefit you overall. All right. Lastly, I would say, what's the another project that's happening? Of course, there's an amphitheater that was supposed to be done in the Northeast that should have been already started, but they're behind on that for whatever reason. So amphitheater is going to be coming here, hopefully. I mean, they say they have the funding for it and all that good stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, just stay posted with me. I'm going to post as many projects that are happening as much as I can. I still go to a lot of the city meetings, county meetings as much as I can as well. And if I can't make it, definitely check that out on YouTube and stay as involved with the city as possible. Find those opportunities to do public comment, go out, speak on an agenda item as much as you can. Right now, I'm actually trying to get myself on a board so I can help as much as I can and not just complain about things, be a part of solutions. Like I said, lastly, as a realtor, for me specifically, so I can let you guys go, at the end of the day, me as a realtor, I want to make sure you have options. You understand the city, you understand what's going on overall when it comes to the housing market, and those decisions that you're making through the process, I want to make sure you can purchase in a way that you feel knowledgeable and confident moving forward. Again, I love hearing from my clients that, man, I didn't even know I was going through this transaction. Mike did everything. Mike made sure I was good to go from start to finish. And I truly appreciate that. And that's the level of service I want to give to any and everybody who uses me as their realtor. Again, I'm not the cup of tea for everyone because my level of service is just up there, man. And if that's not what you want, if you want somebody who's gonna just barely answer the phone, not be, letting you know what's going on with the transaction, I mean, more power to you. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I demand that my clients are taken care of because this, to me, is the largest purchase that most people are going to ever do in their life. So I don't look at it like $250,000. That ain't nothing. No, that's $250,000. And by the time you pay that thing off, it's going to be about $500,000 when you do all the money you've done for 30 years. If you buy a $500,000 home, what is that going to look like in 30 years? And additionally, if I sell you a home, at some point, I want to sell your home. So I want to represent you in a way where you feel confident that, again, Mike will be my forever realtor out here in El Paso, Texas. All right. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anybody who's thinking about purchasing at all, or they just have some general questions before they get started, or they're just not ready, let me know. I'll let us sit down and talk to them, give them some ideas of what's going on out here in the market, and I'll explain it in a way where they're understanding, not give you all these technical terms, but definitely break it down. But again, educate so they understand what they're getting themselves into at the end of the day. Again, my name is Mike Clark. I am a realtor out here in El Paso, Texas. I truly find it as an honor to work with each and every client every single day. I appreciate the opportunity that people trust me in one of the largest transactions they're ever going to do in their life. I don't take that lightly at all. I will lose sleep over it to make sure that thing comes out right at the end of the day. So if you're looking for a realtor, call me up. My phone number is 915-487-6602. My website is MikeClarkElPasoRealtor.com. You can check me out. All my socials are on there. My Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitch, all these different things are on there. So check me out. You can see what I'm doing, what I'm up to. Additionally, my email is mike@keysandknowledge.com. You can email me if you want to email me or DM me on any of the other platforms. But until next time, we out. All right, peace.